the living and the dead. Can they coexist? That's what we're here to find out with the review of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Take it away, Rick.
Welcome to the Not So Intellectual Podcast. This is your host, Inside Rick.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Laney. As you can see, we're going to be talking about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, and it's been something that I've been looking forward to, honestly, when they said they were going to come out with this awesome sequel. It's not a prequel. This was literally a continuation of the story, and yeah, there was a lot of high expectations on my end. Laney, thank you for being on the show. Awesome hairdo. Hell yeah. So yeah, let's get right into it, because we're also going to be talking about aliens. Laney is one of our regular panelists on the Horror Movie Fan Club, and I wanted to get her take on that as well. But first is first, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. I'll just say right off the bat that I really enjoyed some things, and some things I didn't really enjoy. The things I enjoyed, I liked that the world felt. I think Tim Burton did a good job with continuing stories. Honestly, he did a good job with showing where the progression of a character went. Certain characters. Before I go on, spoiler alert: if you haven't seen the movie yet, either Beetlejuice Beetlejuice or Alien Romulus, definitely don't watch this until you see that. Continuing. I love that Lydia became like a paranormal expert and could talk to like ghosts. I love that. I love that the mom became this fucking avant-garde artist, because she basically already was. So this was literally the progression of that. And yeah, Astrid kind of felt like she could have been a bit more fleshed out, honestly. She was just an angry teen. But yeah, Lydia Deetz, Laney, what can you tell me about your side when you coming in?
Well, like you said, I think that this is a truly special film in that I know that fans have been waiting over 30 years for this movie. And I think to make things even better or worse, depending on how you look at it, I think that for so long, we were teased with it. It's happening. It's not happening. It's happening. It's not happening. And that kind of built up this sort of fever pitch, if you will. And it just got everyone really excited. And you remember, it's to a point where when it was actually announced, when they were for sure doing it, I had friends who were like, no, I'm not going to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard too many, my heart's been played with too many times. So this is a truly special and really, really anticipated film. That being said, I've already I've already seen it 3 times.
Nice.
I'm a fan, if you can't tell. I'm a super fan, I guess. I've seen it 3 times, and I actually want to start this review off by saying that I think it's absolutely necessary to see this film more than once in the theater. Because the first time that I went in, I was completely misty-eyed, just so overwhelmingly happy to be back in this world that Tim Burton has created with these characters, with Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, and especially Winona Ryder as Lydia.
Oh yeah.
I remember being 4 years old and watching Beetlejuice and then the cartoon in the 90s, and just really, really wanting to be Lydia, wanting to have that crazy ghost friend like Beetlejuice, and wanting to be in that world, really. And I think I think that's a lot of us that grew up with this film. So that being said, the first time I saw it, the nostalgia goggles were very much on.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I thought it was fun. It was zany. It was everything I come to expect from a Tim Burton film. And definitely, actually, I think it's safe to say that it's really a throwback to Tim's older work.
Yes.
I feel like he's kind of I hate saying this because it sounds extraordinarily like pretentious kind of, but it feels like he's gotten off the beaten path as of late. Like he's not really like he kind of lost his way a little bit. Like first you had the Dumbo live action and just, it just wasn't the Tim Burton that we have come to know and love.
Yeah.
That being said, this is truly a return to form for him. And I think it shows because the whole cast was talking about how fun it was. Michael Keaton said it's the most fun he's had in a role in a long, long time. That being said, your first viewing, if you are a mega fan of the original, is probably going to be viewed with what I like to call nostalgia goggles. You're just going to be so overwhelmingly happy, and you're going to be able to overlook and forgive a lot. That being said, the reason I say see it twice, see it 3 times, is to those nostalgia goggles come off on the second or third viewing, and you start to see a lot of things that don't quite add up or make sense. And that's not to say that this is a bad movie. By no stretch is this what I would deem a bad movie.
Agreed.
It is fun from start to finish. It's a wild ride, and it's enjoyable, and it's a great sequel in its own right. But there are a lot of things. I ended up walking away with a lot more questions than I did the first one. It's really nice that we got to see his backstory and how he became the ghost with the most. But the thing is that between the musical and now the sequel, he's pretty much referred to as a demon. And at no point are demons ever human. So like that right away clashes. You've already set up the kind of the rule that when you die, you take the form of how you died. Charles is obviously bitten in half, which, by the way, really clever. Yeah, really clever usage of Charles Deetz with Jeffrey Jones. Kudos to that. One of the funniest parts of the film. But like Beetlejuice should have foam around his mouth from when he was poisoned or, murdered by Dolores, and he should also be in his pajamas, but he's not. So it's just like there's some questions, and they're small, forgivable questions. I think upon viewing it 2 or 3 times, I liked the ending the first time around because it was so zany and so like, oh my God. Right. I was laughing, and it's still funny, but I really feel like they could have gone with a much better ending. Especially because Tim is now saying that no, there's not going to be a third one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn. It kind of felt like there was, though. That's weird.
Exactly. And I don't understand why they would leave on an ending like that when he sounds pretty certain he's not doing a third one.
What?
Mostly he cited that the second one took so long to make that a third one would probably, take just as long to find the right script. And I respect that.
Right.
Because that's the other thing I wanted to touch on was when you watch this, you really see that you really understand why it was so difficult to do a sequel. I absolutely agree with Tim and Michael that you've got to get it just right because there's probably way more ways to get it wrong. I'd actually kind of like to hear from you, Rick, some of the things that you felt were a little lacking.
All right, so I already mentioned that one part with Astrid. It just felt like she was an angry teen. It could have been fleshed out a little bit more. Towards the end they gave the reasons on why she was angry, which I appreciated. I kind of felt like that could have been introduced a little bit earlier though. One thing that I do want to touch on that I do want to say, because you mentioned it earlier, is how Tim Burton is able to turn his live action like movies into his animated stuff. Like it felt like his world. They felt like his world again, right?
Yeah.
And I just love that about his movies. But I'm trying to stay on track. The negative. They may sound nitpicky, but honestly, the Soul Train part, where I was like, but that doesn't make sense. Why is it just 70s people why is it just disco people going to the afterlife right now? It didn't make sense. It's like, make it make sense.
Also, on that note, did you notice that right before the Soul Train scene, Beetlejuice is leading Lydia to the Soul Train, but he says, I got to go use the little boy's room, and they split up.
Yeah.
And then Delia calls him from the waiting room, and he says, I'll tell you what, I'll help you out if you help me find my runaway bride. And she's not a runaway bride. He knows exactly where she is. I mean, he even shows up in the immigration scene to,
Help her.
excuse me, yeah, like to help her and to stamp the kid's passport. So he knew exactly where she was. So that scene with Delia, I mean, as funny as it was, it just felt really useless. And I don't know. It just there's definitely on second or third viewing I think I've heard a lot of people accuse it of it set up too many storylines, and then ultimately the payoff in the end wasn't very good. And I think, as much as it pains me to say, I kind of agree with that.
Hmm.
Um and I agree very lightly. I don't want to nitpick this film too much because it is truly something fun and special. And I think that what's important is that we suspend belief in some regards, but there are some glaring things, particularly Dolores. Like, did you feel like they built her up and built her up, and then the payoff at the end with her just was like kind of
It
like
fell flat. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. That was the other one. Dolores. I felt like they gave a little bit more of a character development with the guy than with the Dolores, the main big bad, right? If she was supposed to be the big bad, give me a little bit more, not just like the quick, like, it's weird because I did enjoy the back, what is it? When he looked back in his time and it turned into a Spanish, old movie. I like that, but also they could have done a little bit more to like flesh out that character too. That's just my opinion on that part.
No, I completely agree. And I hear mixed reactions because I loved Dolores's intro, like with the Bee Gees tragedy and watching her put herself back together. I thought that was so much fun. That was hands down one of my favorite parts of the movie. But I've heard other people say the opposite, that they thought it ran too long. And then I was like, well, yeah, but if you know Tim Burton, you know he likes to kind of overindulge in some scenes.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a shame because Dolores was built up really well to be this, this pretty big threat. And I absolutely #justice for Bob. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Bob. Thank you for reminding me. Yes.
I love Bob. I loved Bob so much. And it's the one part of the movie I can sincerely say that I hated it every time. I'm like, oh, Bob.
when I want to go see it, I can honestly say that everyone all went, aw.
Yeah, and all 3 times I saw it in my theater, they went no or aw.
Yeah. Fucking Bob, man.
So, yeah, poor Bob. And there is actually a hashtag out there, #justice for Bob.
Nice. I actually thought that fucking what's his name? I keep wanting to call him Frank Reynolds, but it's not Frank Reynolds. What's his actual name?
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. For some reason, I thought Danny DeVito was gonna have a bigger role in the movie, but it was like a quick one.
Oh yeah, it was just a quick little cameo, I think.
Yeah, kind of was looking forward to seeing like if he was gonna be more of a character in there. I think what else was the negative for me? Go ahead.
I got one. One of the biggest sticking points, and there's like nitpicking little things and then there's nitpicking big things. I have two things. I'll try to make it real quick. I didn't like that Lydia couldn't see Astrid's father. It actually got me thinking, well, okay, he's got to be alive then. And how I thought it was going to go in the beginning was that it was going to turn out that he was alive, because she said that he went off to the Amazon. Astrid says he goes off to the Amazon and they never found his body.
Yeah.
Well, it made sense that he should be alive if Lydia can't see him. And I thought that he was going to show up in the wedding scene, and that was what was going to null and void the contract. Because if you pay really close attention, Lydia says to Astrid, our relationship ended before he died. She doesn't say that they divorced. In fact, a lot of times when people divorce, they separate first. And I thought that he would show up in the church to null and void the contract, because the vow is until death do you part. So I was kind of disappointed that we didn't really get an explanation as to why Lydia couldn't see Astrid's father. That just seemed like too big of a of a plot hole to kind of ignore.
I'm
And
not
then go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but
No,
like
no,
I
please
think
go ahead.
the one thing that I did remember from that scene when he kind of set them down, when he reunited with them, is like, oh, I was looking in on you guys from time to time, but he didn't necessarily explain why he wasn't making himself visible, so they would be able to move on. A little bit more of an explanation would have been nice. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
add on to what you said there.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense, and it was a really big plot hole that it was kind of hard to just overlook. And now leading into the ending, because like I said, I thought Astrid's father would show up in the end, but that's not how they played it. The biggest problem I have, I think, with the ending is that if it's gonna be truly, well and truly the last one, and it's done and it's over, then I feel kind of strongly like that we could have ended this a lot better. I think a lot of the 90s kids were really, really hoping they would team up, and we got a little taste of that too. We got a little taste of that when they, briefly go into the neither world together,
Yeah.
and then that's it. What I would have liked to have seen for the ending versus the kind of fever dream that we ended up getting was I kind of was hoping that Lydia would go up to him and would say, once the contract was voided, of course, would say, I will strike a deal with you. No more weddings, no more trying to marry me. But in exchange for your help, I will call you into the real world. You get what you want, I get what I want. And then we cut to the scene of her at her talk show talking, but instead of saying goodbye to her audience, she films the scene and you hear someone go, cut, 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 cut. And it's a new Rory type manager coming in to try and manipulate Lydia. And he's, pulling the same smarmy Rory-isms that, Lydia, dear, I just want to make sure that this goes well. And da 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 da. And she goes, would you hold on just one moment, please? And you see her go into the bathroom, look into the mirror and go, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. He shows up, runs off the manager, creates general havoc, and it ends with them standing side by side looking at each other. And he goes, this could be the start of a really beautiful working relationship. Cut to credits.
Yeah.
Like, I feel an ending of that nature would have been so much better, like so much better than what we ultimately were given. Again, on first viewing, the ending is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it also is kind of, dare I say, cruel if we're not getting a third one, because like you mentioned, it's open-ended.
So what I thought was going to happen at the end there, or for the next movie, would have been that the big bad came back and she has a new lackey with this dude that she got swallowed by the what is this, the worm? I didn't get the actual name of the worm.
Yeah, the sandworm.
Yeah, and I wanted to believe that she somehow gets new abilities because of this world that she got trapped in, and now Lydia has to have Beetlejuice come back, and they have to team up together. The team up, like you were saying, like everyone was kind of hoping for too. Yeah, dude, that sucks that they're not gonna do a prequel. That sucks.
Yeah, no, it's really disappointing, especially how they played it out. And I don't know, but all that being said, like, I don't want to detract from the fact that it was a really, really good movie. It's fun. It's a fun popcorn movie. Yeah. And they could have done a hell of a lot worse for 30-year gap, between these films. I definitely say that each film stands alone on its own. Beetlejuice is going to always be a classic. It can't be touched.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily think that the sequel should be measured up against the original. I think it's best to just go in and see the sequel stand on its own.
Honestly, it's a good continuation. For me, it's a great story, a great continuation for the original. And I love, let's move into the things we loved about it, since we're kind of feels like we're going there. I loved, like I said, the winks and nods. I love that they somehow worked it so that they got the I forgetting his name, the father, to kind of be a part of the story still without bringing the actor in. I love that.
Charles D. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that they, yeah, that fucking Tim Burton still has that feel. It felt like that world still. It just, a couple years later. Um, Let me think. I love that they expanded the underworld. That shit was awesome to me. Um, yeah, I love that it's all bureaucratic. I've always thought like death was always going to be type of like a bureaucratic, like a whole limbo forever, just stuck trying to figure out bullshit down there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll think of more things right now, but I'll let you say what you thought you loved about the movie.
I think the cast, hands down. Even though I know your one of your kind of gripes with it was Astrid, Jenna Ortega just, I get what the cast said about feeling like she just fit in. She really did.
Yeah.
She felt like she his daughter. And with what they gave her to work with, she did really well. But Michael Keaton, oh my God, it's like really, it's just like nothing's changed. Obviously he's not as energetic as he was in the first one, which is understandable because I think he was in like his late 30s, early 40s when he first shot that in the 80s. And now you're looking at he's about 71, 72 shooting this. So it's understandable that his energy is not going to be quite as wild and manic as it was in the first one. But I mean, the man is Beetlejuice. I can never imagine somebody else playing this character except for Michael. And to see him back as Beetlejuice again is absolutely hilarious. I'd say he's got the second best lines next to Catherine O'Hara. Yeah. Oh my God. Catherine O'Hara steals this movie. Like, she took it, she ate it up completely, and she is hands down one of the best parts of this whole movie. I still continue to laugh even on my third viewing. I'm still laughing at her lines, and she is Delia. I'm so glad that they chose to bring her back. Like, I really, really am.
It wouldn't have felt right, honestly. It wouldn't have felt like the movie feels right now, where it's like a literal continuation of the story. I love that their relationship evolved too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
But yeah, dude, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's good to see Lydia and Delia now sharing a common ground. Because now that Lydia has a rebellious teenager, she kind of understands what she was putting Delia through. And the other thing that I really, really liked about it was, like you said, I liked the whole neither world. It felt like it had life. It was so nice to see that expanded upon and be back in the afterlife. And that was really tremendous. One of the other things that I think I really liked about it, again, even though they didn't touch on it enough, was seeing Beetlejuice and Lydia kind of team up. I wish it had been a little longer, but seeing that, man, my inner 4-year-old has been waiting for that since I grew up with the cartoon for years. So that was a lot of fun. I liked Dolores. I just wish the payoff with her character had been a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I loved her. I thought her intro was great. I'm like, all right, I'm on board. This, I get it. She hates Beetlejuice. Let's see where this goes. I'd say, even Willem Dafoe, I really liked his character because, the take on an actor and oh my God, so many scenes, even the take a selfie, but make it quick,
I love the cup. Like, every time he had to have a hot cup of coffee, every scene, his assistant came in with a fucking hot cup of coffee.
And did you notice his henchmen or little police officers were California Highway Patrol?
I didn't know that. That is cool. Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'd say the last thing I really appreciated about it, and I know we're doing a spoiler review, but I won't give this part away just because I thought this was really neat. I liked the twist. I didn't see how Astrid would end up in the afterlife.
Oh,
and I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together. There were things that were weird about that situation, but I didn't put anything firmly together right away until And in fact, the second time I saw it, the person I went with was getting kind of misty-eyed when they kiss and they're floating, and I'm just watching. I'm like, oh dear.
I don't know.
So it was good. It was a good twist.
I don't know why that scene reminded me of Casper a lot.
Oh, I definitely think it was a throwback to
right?
Casper.
There's
Yeah.
a little nod. Yeah, dude. I kind of knew that it was coming with this kid. That I don't want to give it away since you don't want to give it away. But when you go into this person's, how can I not give this away? There is little things that I noticed off the bat when they introduced them, where I was like, wait a minute, I was already suspected. But
yeah, there is
yeah.
definitely little clues. I think the biggest one being when she sees the handbook and he's like, oh, I got it at a garage sale. I was
yeah,
like,
bullshit. What do you mean? And I also thought too, I was like, how's that possible? But no, and then I was connecting the dots. I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
yeah, that was kind of a tip off that something not quite right here.
Yeah.
However, I did think that it was somewhat plausible because Lydia in the first one reads the Maitland's handbook to the recently deceased. She there's a point where they I think the Maitlands ask her, like, how is it you can see us? And she's like, well, I read through that handbook for the recently deceased. So the fact that Lydia could read it and she's very much alive actually got me thinking that maybe the kid was like Lydia could see ghosts, you know?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
So I thought
didn't
that was
consider that at all.
plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, I thought that. Yeah, I didn't consider that he could possibly see ghosts as well. No, I thought that. Wait a minute. No, this doesn't seem right. I thought, and I'm trying not to give out the end there, so I'm trying to be careful what I say. But yeah, I could smell it. I could smell it a mile away. I'll just say it. I'll just leave it with that.
Yeah, just stick with that. But yeah, no, it was I actually didn't see it coming. I was surprised when it all went down. I was like, oh. And then I upon watching it like 2 or 3 times, I was like, okay, yeah, why didn't I put that together? I was like,
the references.
Then again,
I'll just say that the references.
If you notice real closely, if you pay attention to his room, like he's got everything. He's got a PS1 in his room.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm like, oh, you know, it's all there. It's really all there if you know where to look.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. I'm stuck on there not being 3 parts to this story because it felt like the end there was setting up for the sequel or for the next sequel.
I'm really, really hoping that this is a case of money talks and, you know, he'll be able to be talked into doing another one. But I also know Tim's style, and I agree with Michael Keaton as well. I know they won't do it unless the right script comes along. So that's really what I think I think that's what the third one hinges on, is that somebody writes a script that's good enough and is not just, you know, cashing in on a franchise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. This one felt like they took their time to make it feel right at home, right in the same world.
Yeah.
All that being said, I want to give it, if we're doing a rating between 5, let's give it a 4. I'll give it a 4. What about you? Yeah,
I agree with that. I actually am going to give it a 4 as well. I might even go 4.5. Like I said, I think that the key to enjoying this is to just let go of your expectations. Try really hard not to measure it up to the original. I know that's a tall order, but I feel like if you do that, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Try to just watch it knowing it's a sequel and watch it on its own merits. And I think you're going to have a great time with it, honestly.
100% agree with you. Go into it, enjoy the ride, and you'll have a good time. I want to tell you the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes score right now for Beetlejuice. IMDb is at 7.1 out of 10, and then Rotten Tomatoes has it at 77%. So there's a lot of a lot of thoughts out there for sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that I wanted to talk to you about, because I remember you had thoughts and you'd seen this movie.
It
Hell
wouldn't have
yeah.
anything to do with this fella right here, would it?
Hell yeah. Aliens Romulus. I fucking love the movie. This felt like an actual aliens movie. The past aliens movie, yeah, it was just a scary movie with aliens in it. This one felt like a throwback, and they had references, and they had old characters from past movies come back, and it was awesome to see. Though I learned some things about how they brought back this specific character, and I didn't know how to feel about it, because I thought he was still alive, this actor, but apparently he had passed away already, and they got AI to do his voice. So I was like, oh shit, that feels weird to do. But yeah, Alien Romulus. Did you get to catch our review for the Horror Movie Fan Club?
I have not gotten to catch it quite yet.
So one thing I will say that it was really funny out of the whole thing is the star of the show is the autistic robot, right?
Andy, yeah.
Andy. I love how they made this character. I love the little glitches that he did, and it did feel like he had like if he was autistic, and it was an interesting way to like introduce or have that type of character in that world.
Which, by the way, did you catch Andy is short for android?
I did not. Yeah, I didn't consider that. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. I keep forgetting the main character's name. Sky?
Rain.
I knew it was one of those.
And it's an Ellen Ripley type thing where it's her middle name actually.
Oh shit. Okay. What's her full name?
Yeah, if you so
one sec.
one
I'm sorry. One sec. All right, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. I'm trying to actually recall what her name was, but so like fun little Easter egg or fact, if you pay close attention to the beginning when she's introduced and she goes in to inquire about her ticket off the planet to Yvaga, I think it was Yvaga. They actually, her name pops up right there on the screen, and Rain is in fact her middle name. I cannot remember for the life of me what her first name was, but yeah, it's very much a throwback to Ellen Ripley type situation where we call her Ripley, but we know her first name is really Ellen.
One of the questions I asked the group like midway through when we were doing our review, and I'm trying to remember the questions because they were really good ones. If you were stuck on this fucking mining asteroid or moon, wherever they were, would you take a chance and do what this crew did?
Oh hell yeah, because I mean, and I think they did a good job of making Rain's situation something that you can empathize with, because she says really early on that her parents died in the mines, and they talk about the poisonous gases in the mines and really how much of kind of a hellhole the planet is, and it's completely sympathetic that this group of young adults would want to get off this planet, especially Rain, because when she goes to go get her ticket or her passport to go to Iaga and she's denied, they tell her right away, you got to continue working in the mines. And the last thing that somebody who lost their parents to, an illness that they picked up in the mines is to go and work in the mines.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think hands down, I liked that. I appreciated it because it wasn't like they did something stupid. You could understand why these characters were going to do this, and outwardly in the beginning, it seems pretty harmless. It's like, we're going to pick up these cryo tubes and that's it. It's not one of those movies where I'm trying to think, the characters do things that are so stupid that you're just like okay, like Alien Covenant. Oh man. Watching that again, oh man, I decided that I really disliked the cast in that movie. Like, not the cast themselves, they did a good job with their roles, but every single character just does something really, really, pardon my language, but effing dumb.
Fucking stupid. I agree.
Fucking stupid. Yeah, like, and so I appreciate that Romulus didn't do that. These weren't characters that did anything overtly stupid. Their rationale for going out to the station, the space station, was not overtly dumb. It was all pretty logical and pretty like, yeah, it should be straightforward, except that it wasn't.
Yeah. The purpose on why they had to get out, the direction that they were going, it was streamlined, it was straight to the point, and I appreciated that about this movie. The other movies, I know Prometheus was building the story, the background, the history of aliens, so I understood why they took certain directions they did, which I kind of liked, honestly, with those movies, with Prometheus and I think I forgot the other movie, but trying to stick to this one. I love how they made the Facehuggers fucking terrifying again.
Oh, I mean, I think they did a good job of making everything terrifying again. Even the Xenomorphs, like, really, the Xenomorphs were getting kind of tired and kind of like, but they did a really good job of just making going back to the series roots and making them scary again. I think truly the best way. There's really, I remember when I saw it, and I've seen it twice. There's really not a lot of gripes that I have about it. I have to tell you, there was whatever gripes I had were very small. I wish that they had made it a little bit more obvious that the Facehuggers were cloned. But other than that, like, it was pretty well done. The Xenomorphs and Facehuggers were scary again. Like you said, it fit right in. I could believe that it fit in between Alien 1 and Aliens. It felt like it was on par with the first two films. The only other thing that I think I would have liked, but you can't give everything away in this film, so I can forgive this, is I would have liked a little more character development from Rain. But again, we didn't get a whole shit ton of character development from Ellen Ripley in the first Alien either. So I can completely forgive that. It's a very small, minor gripe. Can't see that in the theater enough because of the cinematography, the shots of the rings of that planet. Oh my god, dude, it's such an experience. And this is one film that I know our boy Brian is like big on the 4DX experience, but I'm with him on this.
Yes,
the 4DX experience for this particular movie is outstanding. It's a completely different experience, 10 times more intense. I have never, ever, ever in my life sat back and go, I wonder how it feels to have an alien bust out of my chest, but bless 4DX because it pounded the back of my seat, hit me in my back right at the chest busting scene. And I think I actually like cried out. Like I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kudos. This film is just, I can't say enough good things about it. And I'm sure that, you know, if you really want to nitpick stuff, I'm sure it's there to do, but I had such a good time. And in fact, I would go see it a third time in the theater before it leaves. I actually really hope to.
I honestly agree with you. I don't have anything bad that I want to say about the movie. I was hooked, line and sinker the whole way through the movie. I didn't get to see this in 4DX, unfortunately. I did see it in IMAX, which I enjoyed. Though seeing the movie, I could see how 4DX would have made that a lot better. And then once you mentioned the whole like chest buster scene, damn, that would have been awesome.
Oh, it was jarring.
Meant going to the chest buster scene specifically with the character's name is Navarro. Do you agree with? This is gonna sound silly, but would you have stopped her too? Would you have done everything you could have, just like Andy, to stop this girl from getting in there?
Well, that's a tough question because we as the audience, we know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, we know when Rook, his name's Rook, but he's a take on Ash from the first one. When Rook warns them that it's probably already implanted, they are not aware of what that means. the audience, we're 100% aware of what that means. So it's a tough question to answer, because I would say if I went in like Andy, because Andy at that point had the knowledge in his head and the files from Rook, he knew what was going to happen. Yeah, I might have tried to stop her. But if we're playing it like I'm one of the crew, like alongside Rain, and I don't know what's going to happen, of course I think your first instinct is going to be to try to help your friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
When you don't have that knowledge of what you're dealing with, it's a lot easier to be ignorant and to say, okay, yeah, let's help them. But I think if they had known, they probably might not have made that choice. They might have been a little bit more on Andy's side.
That is a good thought process on this question, because I was like automatically, get this person the fuck out of here. If I saw that thing on that person, and then but that's just because I know what happens afterwards.
Yeah, and they and remember, they didn't have a means to quarantine her, so
true.
It's tricky, but they also knew that space station was going to crash eventually. It was going to crash into the
True.
What was it, like the
ring?
Yeah, the field. Yeah, the ring, the field.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a rock and a hard place, because it's like, we don't have the means to quarantine our friend. We don't have the means. Like, what do? We can't leave her on the space station that's going to inevitably crash.
Yeah.
We really shouldn't put her on the ship either. So it was like, that really was a rock and a hard place. I really respect Fede Alvarez, because he didn't make situations where the characters acted particularly stupid, in my opinion. It was stuff that was very like, yeah, what the fuck do we do in this situation? You know what I mean?
No, that's a great point. Yeah, I didn't consider that at all. But yeah, I didn't find myself saying, why the fuck did he just do that in this movie? It was like, holy shit, the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Kay, the pregnant girl, I honestly thought that the baby was gonna be fucking the British guy, Bjorn. For some reason, I thought that it was gonna be his kid. I don't know why.
I think it was because the way there's a scene of him holding her.
Right.
And I think it was his kid, but I thought that given what the black goo did to the rat, in that scene, I thought that we were going to get not only the infant, but her mutating as well.
I didn't expect. So yeah, let's go to that part. When she decided to do it, I was like, holy fuck, because she doesn't know. But if I was stuck in that position, would I just inject myself with this alien goo that might give me the ability to survive? I probably would have taken the chance too. But
that's a tough one, because I know, I think what's relatable is that she did it for her baby, for the hopes that it would save her baby and give her baby a shot at life. I don't think she did it didn't do it for dumb reasons. Yeah, it's an unknown substance that you don't know what it's going to do, but if it's your only hope and you're bleeding out, I think any mother's first and foremost thought is going to be of their child.
Yeah.
So it's, again, understandable why she took that chance, which, by the way, nerd moment for just a minute, because I'm as much as a Beetlejuice fan as I am just as big a fan of Alien, the Alien franchise. But I thought that it was so cool, the number of throwbacks that it had to Aliens, Alien Resurrection. Even I'm pretty sure the gun that Rain gets is from Alien Colonial Marines, the game that was terrible, by the way. Don't go out and play it. It's awful. But it's cool that they pretty much gave throwbacks to everything. Even Alien 3, did you notice when Rain's climbing up in the elevator shaft and the Xenomorph is right here? It's a take from that shot from Alien 3 of Ripley,
they had to do
hissing at her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, this was such a love letter.
Dude.
I think this franchise is in good hands moving forward, as long as it stays in Fede Alvarez's hands.
I absolutely agree with you. One thing I want to touch what you just said. Some of those scenes felt like it was straight out of a game, like a video game. I'm not sure if you ever played Deep Space.
I played Dead Space.
Dead Space. I don't know why I said Deep Space. Dead Space. It felt
My understanding is they took a lot of inspiration from Alien Isolation.
sick. Okay. Um. Okay. So yeah, there were certain scenes where I was like, "Holy shit, this feels like a fucking video game scene right now," and it felt like you were in it. You're like your emotions were in it. You're like, "Hurry up, get the fuck next to the door, close it." When Andy decided to close the door on his sister and the last two survivors there, I was like, in my head, like, "Oh my god, this motherfucker really did it." And then I knew it. For some reason, I knew that that was gonna happen. But like, yeah, I thought like, no, maybe his programming will take over. Nope, no programming taking over. This is an android.
Well, the thing is that there was some programming that took over. It was Rook's programming that took over. Andy was always there under the surface, and I think that's what that line from Rain is Andy, are you still in there? Like, he was, but he was being so overtaken by this protocol from that chip that they took out of Rook that it was causing him to go kind of batty. And I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan in horror movies of going back for your friend. Like, I am almost always the one that's like, don't fucking do that. But this movie, I 100% down would have went back for Andy.
Okay, that 100%. Was the next question I was gonna ask, because I asked the crew this: would you have gone back for Andy?
And I would have gone back for him.
Yes. I think I'm the only one at the moment, because of how things were. I wouldn't have gone back. I would have gone the fuck out of there, because there's things coming there's monsters everywhere. Get the fuck out of there. But that was just me. But I'm glad that you went back for him.
Andy at his core was just too good of a character, and if I'd had the bond with him that Rain did, absolutely I would have went back for him. Now I would have left him if there had been an attempt to remove the chip. They had removed it, and the programming, Rook's programming, was still there somehow.
Okay.
I would have been like, fuck that fucker, he's gone.
Yeah.
Andy's gone, he's not there. But no, I was really, really, really rooting for Andy to make it, and I'm so glad that he did, you know. In so many ways. He got the little gash on his neck, but I'm pretty sure that's repairable.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm not sure if you've heard any like rumblings or rumors of if the director's going to stay on, possibly.
I think it's pretty safe to say that unless something really weird happens, Fede Alvarez is going to stay hands on this, because the feedback overall has been pretty good from the fan base. I mean, of course, you're going to have those people that are just, you're not going to please them.
No.
And all fan bases, I maintain, are kind of toxic to some degree.
Yeah.
But overall, it seems overwhelmingly positive, and as long as this stays in Fede's hands, I think that this is the way to go. This is the first film. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Prometheus, and I hesitate to say that because I know that the feelings on Prometheus are so mixed. I enjoyed it. By no means do I think Prometheus is a well put together film.
No,
I enjoy it for what. Yeah, I enjoy it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked it. Covenant, not so much. I love the ending fight scene between the Xenomorph and the main character, but that's kind of it. I really hate the characters in that film and the choices that they make, and just not very likable characters. I was really not rooting for anybody to live. The only thing that I wanted to see out of Covenant was what happened to David.
Yeah.
With that ending, because David was a great villain, but this is the first Alien film in a long, long time that I can't wait to see what happens next.
Same.
Alien Resurrection, didn't care what happened next. Certainly the APP films, didn't care what happened next. Prometheus, kind of cared what happened next. Was interested, but wasn't like, gotta see it, you know? Yeah, like this one is like, really leaves you with I really want to see what happens next kind of thing.
I agree with you on that one. I'm excited to see what the possibilities can be. One thing I do want to touch on that I remembered, one of the things I did not like, and I felt, and it's nitpicky as fuck. There's this last scene where Rain is able to get away and you see her coming back into the ship, and it just felt like it dragged on, and it was so like CGI'd as fuck, and I was like, ugh, disgusted by it because it kind of felt like it didn't necessarily need to be there. I kind of felt like it could have just been like a quick thing of her getting back into the ship. I just felt like they added it in just to have fucking some CGI scene with her coming from the space into like the ship. I don't know. And nitpicky is for me, I don't know, but I just didn't like that part.
No, I think that's fair. Like I said, I saw it twice, and the first time around, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? The second time, the final fight with the newborn does drag a little bit towards the end, just a little, not a lot. And I think that they cut it just in time. But I can get behind you with that, like where it just, you know, all the excess of her getting to the ship and all, yeah, I get that. I can get behind that 100%.
I enjoyed the human xenomorph. I thought it was like a really smart way to like get this like baby, because I thought that it was just gonna be like a baby, like the like one of those Prometheus people, like, oh shit, it's a normal baby, and then it turned into a fucking monster guy.
You know what's odd to me is that, now granted, I don't really like this is going to sound like I'm defending Alien Resurrection, and I trust I'm not. There's so much wrong with Alien Resurrection, but it's odd to me that this played out so well with the newborn in this one, and everybody hated the concept in Alien Resurrection. Like that was very interesting to me. I didn't hate the concept of the newborn in Alien Resurrection. That was one of the parts I didn't hate so much.
Okay.
It just seemed a little far-fetched with the whole cloning thing. They played it out much better here with the black goo, and even cooler was that it was was played by a real person. That's even cooler by the basketball.
That was cool to find out as well.
It was really cool.
Yeah. They showed the picture of the guy. His name is Trevor Newland. He's a basketball player. I don't know specifically from her, but all I know is that he's a basketball player, and like, yeah, they tapped him to be the xenomorph, and it was fucking brilliant casting. Dude looks horrifying in that getup. I didn't understand the tail, but I appreciated the tail. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I think again that was the little throwback to Alien Resurrection. You know, it's got a little bit of everything in there, and that's what I like. My gripes are very small. Like I said, I agree with you about Rain getting back to the ship. I agree about, I feel like I wish there had been a little bit more character development on Rain, but I can forgive that as long as they save that for the sequel. And just really, again, I wish that they had made it a little clearer. It's like a detail that blink and you miss it. It's on a computer screen that they're cloning the Facehuggers from the one that they found drifting out in space.
So I didn't know that there were clones. Like, yeah, boom.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, they pulled in the Xenomorph that Ripley blew out of the airlock in the original Alien.
Oh.
That's a drone Xenomorph. It's not a queen, so there would be no eggs to lay. So they had to clone the Facehuggers. That's how that had to have worked. Because there's just no other way. It's the queen that lays the eggs.
That's so wild. I've always enjoyed the weird insect inspiration to this species. Like, it's so wild, and I like that it feels real. Let me think back to this story here. Where there was this question that I think I asked the kids. Oh no! I think I already asked you guys. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about.
Xenomorphs are definitely, I have this list of horror icons that I'd read. If I had to go up against, Xenomorphs are on the list of fuck no. Along with the Cenobites. Yeah, I would not want to go up against the Xenomorph. I would not want to go up against the Cenobites. I would rather go up against Freddy Krueger and Jason over the Xenomorphs. Again, I really appreciate that Romulus makes them scary again.
Yeah.
Can't praise that enough. I actually just talked to 2 people that go, oh, we haven't seen it. And I'm like, I'll go with you. I liked it that much. So, yeah.
I guess we can do our ratings for the movie. I honestly will give it a 9.5. What about you? Out of 10.
You know, I can forgive the tiny little gripes. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
I'm that impressed with it. Like, I mean, my gripes that I have are so small and inconsequential that I'm like, I had just loved this movie overall. And as an Alien fan, so I think I told you this story, but I'll tell the people watching this story that I saw Alien when I was like 4 or 5 because I went over to my cousin's house and he was like, hey, do you want to watch a movie about aliens? And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it scared the absolute shit out of me as a kid, I'll be damned if I wasn't back over at my cousin's house, a week later asking, can we watch Alien?
Nice.
Ellen Ripley became a character that was someone I looked to for safety and inspiration when I was little. Like when I was scared and in the dark, I think of Ellen Ripley, and like this franchise means a lot to me, just as much as Beetlejuice almost. And I couldn't be more happy with Alien Romulus. I was so pleasantly surprised. It's really, because if this had failed, I would say just fucking retire it. Kind of like I feel with Terminator at this point. Just let it go.
How do you feel about Aliens Earth coming to FX?
I'm gonna sum it up. The simplest way I can say it is that I feel very strongly like it's like I said about Beetlejuice, 100 ways to get it wrong and probably a lot less ways to get it right. So I think it's got some really big shoes to fill after Romulus, but here's hoping,
I'm excited for the possibilities. We'll see. That's all I'll say. We'll see.
We'll see. I'm excited too. I'm not going to lie and act like I didn't, lose my shit when I saw it, but then I tempered myself and I'm like, hold up.
I'm glad that it's not on Fox and that it's on FX. Big one.
Right. I think the only other streaming service I think I would have tolerated is HBO Max.
HBO Max would have been good too, because at least that would have been
HBO Max would have done it right. I don't trust Netflix because Netflix has a habit of doing like one good season and then just the rest tank for some reason. I don't know, or they're not on par. So I'm glad it's FX. I just hope for the best, but I think it's got some really big shoes to fill after Alien Romulus.
Agreed. I want to ask you about one more thing. Did you ever get to see the Chucky series? And how do you feel about it?
I did. I'm on season 2.
Hell yeah.
I'm where they're in the religious boarding school type of thing. I think it's just fun. That's the best thing I can say, is that it's fun. I don't try to look too hard into it because that storyline has just gotten so convoluted.
Yeah.
But I think it's really clever that they've roped Jennifer Tilly into this, and now Jennifer Tilly is kind of playing herself, and it's gotten very meta.
Yeah.
Where she's fighting with herself. She's fighting with Tiffany in her own body.
Yes.
I think it's hilarious. I think it's the only way that the Chucky series could have survived after the reboot, just kind of tanking. I'm glad they're doing it, and I'm even more glad that Brad Dourif has basically said, "Hey, I'm retired except for Chucky."
Hell yeah.
I thought it was really cool. There's an episode, I think it's season 2, where they flash back to a young his daughter playing him, Fiona Dourif, and she just looks and sounds like her father. Like, it's so crazy. Like, there's so many crazy things in that series. I really recommend it to people. I'm like, if you just want to have fun with a horror series, don't take it too seriously. There's probably plenty of problems with it. In some parts it's cheesy, but you gotta be, when you're talking about Chucky, a little bit.
Yeah.
You gotta run with the cheese a little bit. It's you embrace it and you do what you can with it. And I think they've done a pretty good job. It's fun, it's campy, it's still a little scary at times. So, good balance.
Yeah, definitely enjoy the series. I am stuck at 2. I need to get back into the series, but I just remember that. Oh yeah, fucking Chucky, you're a perfect person to talk to, Chucky. I'm glad that you were able to come on the show, and I hope you get to come back on the show soon. Laney, where can they find you on the socials?
Right now, I'm a little bit more active on Facebook. You can find me under Elena, Elena, Lee, Lee. And I pretty much look like I do now. I've got the Lydia picture up there. And actually, something I would kind of like to plug right now, since this is coming out, is that I have one of the handbook for the recently deceased popcorn buckets up on my page. There's a contest going on for it right now. I'm going to be choosing a winner on September 30th and announce the winner on October 1st for this popcorn bucket. It's the Regal popcorn bucket, so the big one.
Nice.
It's really cool, yeah. And so, like, by all means, all you got to do is just go to my page, follow, find the post, comment, and tell me your favorite scene from either Beetlejuice, the sequel, or the cartoon series, and tag a friend. And that's it. You're automatically entered to win. Only one entry per person, but ended up with an extra one, and I figured, hey, this would be kind of fun to do and give people a chance to get them, since they sold out like that. They were gone pretty much on day one.
That is badass. I hope one of you lucky people get a new bucket for some awesome memorabilia. Be sure to tune in next week, and we'll be having a new Lucha Critics. Yeah, most likely next week. But yeah, be good to yourself and others. You can find me at right there. You see all those social tags throughout the show. And yeah, be good to yourself and others. Bye-bye. Bye, 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 bye. Where's my thing? Bye.
Be sure to follow me on all the social platforms at NSIRick. And you can also email the show at notsointellectualpod@gmail.com. See you next time.